Welcome to LOA Today. I'm Walt Thiessen. With me today is our own pianist in residence, Sam Page. This is your daily dose of happy. We are so happy you decided to join us today. Now, as promised, Sam has actually prepared something for us today. Well, he doesn't actually prepare it because he improvises everything, but he's like prepared himself to do a little playing for us today. So my guest today, Bill Heinrich, is also tuned in. Bill, Sam is like our pianist in residence, and every once in a while he graces us with about 2 or 3 minutes of something that he just improvises on the spot. And he's going to do that again today. So this
Yes. Hey.
So are you all set to go there, Sam?
I do believe so.
All right. So take it away. And does this have a name?
Not yet. Maybe I'll think of one during and share it after.
Okay, that's fair. Okay, so here he is, Mr. Sam Page.
Thank you. Happy to share. Let's see.
Woohoo! All right. That was beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm really happy I got to do that. I haven't played on the show in a while.
Yeah, it's been a couple months. Yeah, and we can't have it go that long each time.
There we go.
Yeah, I like the structure of that. I mean, I know that you kind of make it up on the spot, but that had a nice flow to it.
Right. It kind of it writes itself sometimes, or I guess yeah.
Well, that's the gift that you have. Now, did a name come to you while you were playing?
For some reason, I thought of a stream, so I want to just call it, in lieu of a word that came up before the show started, we'll call it Stream of Clarity.
Ooh, okay. Very good. I love that. It's a good way to get the conversation started with our guest today, right?
Yes, I do think so.
All right. So his name is Bill Heinrich, and he's all about helping people find their true life purpose. He calls himself the divine purpose guy.
I love that.
He has a whole story about how he kind of got started doing that. But I'll let him tell that story. So first of all, Bill, welcome to the program today. How are you doing?
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm wonderful. Thank you. And Sam, a stream of clarity is exactly what we're going to talk about today.
Hey, how about
clarity? My expertise.
We love that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we love clarity here. So
clarity is one of the highest vibrations you can have. So that's really, really cool. So tell us your story. How did you get to the point where you're now helping other people to achieve clarity?
You know, I was so miserable in life that almost 30 years ago, I walked away from my life, literally walked away from it and said, I have got to go find the source. I can't do this anymore. And I lived in Lake Tahoe for many years. This was just a few days after Christmas. I was not married. I was in a relationship, and we had 5 feet of snow that weekend. It was the end of December. And it was snowing out, and it was 9 o'clock at night. And I was just like, I can't take this anymore. I've got to go find out why something. And I walked out the door and never returned, and began the search. I just couldn't take it. And come to find out, that's why people change, is because it's not willingness, it's unwillingness.
A good way to say it,
I
yes.
like that perspective.
They're unwilling to live a certain way any longer.
Right.
Just, enough is enough, right? So I wandered for quite a while, quite aimlessly, because I was going to rebuild my entire life. And I could go into some amazing stories, but I'm not going to. One of the things I did during that time is went and lived by myself out on a remote beach in Mexico for 3 months.
Nice.
And just really more and more and more in touch with myself. And the journey has just continued and continued and continued. And what's happened along the way is not only did I find the actual cause of my misery, but I actually found the resources that allow people to avoid it. And the saddest part of this is the universe is packed with resources and everybody ignores them.
Yes.
They ignore them. They call it woo-woo. They call it weirdo. They anything. They just call it. It's amazing. And now I'm 30 years in this, and I work metaphysically with CEOs and executives. Right. The moment when I'm working with someone, the moment I teach them how energy actually works, their life changes like that. It's that fast, because life is confusing at the best. In fact,
Yes.
I saw a great movie on Netflix, Stutz, by Jonas Hill, excuse me. A movie about his psychiatrist that he's seen for years. It was really good. But his psychiatrist said the best you're going to get out of our life is no clarity, pain, and work.
And he was paying this guy? I mean, seriously, I want to know. He was actually paying this guy?
Well, if you look at life honestly, it's the truth. I heard this amazing psychiatrist speak a few years ago. He said, let me explain life to you. Life is about getting past this current challenge you have, knowing full well there's another one out there waiting.
Okay, that one's a little bit better. The first one was so much focused on the negative side. Essence, so that's why I'm curious to know how this goes.
Well, because when you look at it, the number one challenge anyone has in life regarding anything is an absence of clarity. We're always in a constant state of change. Your life is always changing. And if you're not in a constant state of change, you're in a constant state of resistance against change. One or the other. And it's that constant state of change that creates a lack of clarity.
Okay.
Right? So I know, Walt, you're going through changes. You have no clarity in your life at this moment. You're really looking at things, right? And
well, actually, I have a fair amount of clarity, but I get your point. Yes.
Right. We never really know. And this is where the suffering comes in. This is where people end up unhappy, because they're attached to what's going on in the physical.
Sure.
And it changes their energy. And it's the only thing that matters is our energy. What level is our energy at? What in the physical, in the way we live, blocks us, because we have this energy all the time. So all we have to do is figure out what's blocking it. You get that, Sam?
Yeah, definitely. Because there is that energy, that stream of energy that we all have naturally, but then like ego separates us. So, and that have to figure out what's blocking
That's
us.
Right. You're exactly correct. Now, this is what's important about energy. Okay. Energy gets interpreted one way. Intellect gets interpreted another. Right, Walt? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I do.
How do you see that?
Well, I think what you said basically summarizes it. I think probably what it comes down to is people tend to equate intellect with energy, and they really aren't the same thing. They're really
It's
quite
two
different
separate
things.
worlds.
Yeah.
It's two separate worlds. And here's why. If we go to the simplest, most basic way of looking at energy, there are only two energies in the world created by emotion. One is love, one is fear.
Yeah, sure. It all boils down that way. Mm-hmm.
It comes down to one of those two,
Mm-hmm.
right? If you're not happy, there isn't love happening.
Or it may be happening, but you're just not paying any attention to it.
You don't have the capacity to hold it. You don't have the capacity to recognize it, right?
Right. It's out of range.
In fact, you might even rebel against it because love is an energy. And when you're living in that space, you're living intellectually. So you'll feel the love and not like it.
Sure, yeah.
It's not going to match with what your head's thinking. But let me go back to love and fear. Okay. Fear knocked on the door. Love answered, and no one was there, Sam. They cannot coexist.
Right.
Think about that.
Yeah, they can't occupy the same metaphysical space at the same time. It's just not possible.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
Yes. Right? So we have two emotions, love and fear. So let's look at how they get generated. Fear can only become generated from our physical reality, from our ego, which is only in our intellect, which is only there to protect us. Period. End of conversation. And very limited resources only coming from the past without the capacity to be here in the present moment.
Mm-hmm.
That's what creates fear.
Sure.
Fear is about protection. With love, the more you give, the more you get.
That's true.
They're the polar opposites.
Right.
So if you want your core answer to being happy, you have it. Live from your heart and be acutely aware of your energy and literally forget about what's going on in the physical. It's more important, the energy that you bring to any situation is more important than what's happening.
Yes, totally agree with that.
Any questions, Sam? You look like you got.
Not necessarily. No, this is all resonating with me quite nicely, and I appreciate just hearing your perspective.
Yeah, well, again, you're familiar with Abraham Maslow?
Mm-hmm.
Are you familiar with Maslow?
The hierarchy of needs.
The hierarchy of needs.
Oh yeah.
He's the father of modern psychology. So, but everybody at Freud was studying the shadow side. Maslow was looking at peak potential.
Right.
And in Maslow's hierarchy, there were 5 levels to it. And then in the later years of his life, he added 2 more because he realized there had to be 2 more to get to self-actualization. So every problem.
I never heard about that part. I knew about the 5 levels. I didn't know about the last 2. Yeah, I didn't know about
7
that.
levels. Oh yeah, there's actually 7 levels to it.
Okay.
And with the 5, the first one is physiological, which is food, shelter,
basic needs. Right.
Yeah, food, shelter, clothing, excretion, sex. The second one is safety. This is an area that people really miss on. The next one is love and belonging. The next one, these are basic needs. And the next one is esteem, acknowledgement, being recognized. And then he went to self-actualization. And very simply, if you're living a self-actualized life, you are making choices for yourself. You're living from a very conscious, holistic place, and you're not being swayed. You are in self-actualization. The next step above self-actualization is actually transcendence. That's what I teach.
Ah, okay.
Nice.
Okay. And then what does he have at the top then?
Self-actualization. Well, wait, because I'm going to come back and pick up. I'm going to come back and pick. I'm going to come back and pick up the other 2.
Okay, I got it. All right.
Because what Maslow learned later in his life was we have those 4 basic needs. I guarantee you that every problem, every fear, every challenge you have in your life is in one of those 4 basic needs to start with.
Okay.
Guaranteed.
Yep.
Okay. He realized that he had to add cognitive needs, the need to continue learning,
Sure.
and the aesthetic needs, the need for beauty.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Then leading to self-actualization.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. Well, that makes sense. I didn't realize
Now,
he'd done that, but that's cool.
And so remember, his hierarchy is all about living in the physical.
Yeah.
And that's all I care about. Okay. I'm a metaphysician, but I don't care about all the other stuff. What I would have learned is when you learn how to maintain a non-physical perspective, when you develop the cognitive abilities and open-mindedness to really understand what's going on and start applying that and allowing that energy to show up behind every thought, word, and action of yours, your life changes instantly. You can transcend situations like that.
Give us an example so that we can make it more concrete.
We have 7 chakras, right? You're familiar
Yep.
with the chakras?
Yes.
Great. Okay. There are 7 energies that run through those chakras.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is how I ended up in my area of expertise. This is why I'm known as the divine purpose guy. It's those it's these 7 energies that create your divine purpose. Now, we all have the exact same 7 energies. I'll tell you what they are in a second. We have the exact same ones, but we have them in different proportions. So no 2 people are the same energetically, right? No 2 are the same energetically. So the 7 energies going from the root chakra to the crown chakra are divine compassion, divine creation, divine order, divine healing, divine authentic self-expression, divine truth, and then divine power. These are energies. This is our conduit to universal wisdom. The energy is.
Okay.
It's those energies. So one of those energies, Walt, is when you have all of these energies right now, but when you're not aware of them, they show up dysfunctionally.
Sure.
Because the energy has to come out. When you combine that with life lessons, and I'll go into that in a second, there's 38 different life lessons passed. We're all living life with a blindfold on, making decisions based on who we are. That is really the truth. Okay. Myself included. In fact, decisions isn't something I just make choices now because I can make a different choice. Right.
Right.
So divine order is one of those energies. Okay. So imagine the energy of divine order. And typically 3 of the, you end up having to combine all of the energies, but 3 of them make primary purpose. And if divine order was one of your primary energies, okay. Now let's go back to love and fear. Okay. Divine order is an energy of
love.
Where does it come from? Right? I don't know. It's just part of our energy, right? But it's being generated. This energy is being generated else. Where did we come from? The energy of ourselves that turned into physical form. A lot of unanswered questions. So if you only have love and fear, someone with a lot of divine order, their whole life, because when we're born and we come into the physical world, we're just taught to survive. Food, water, shelter. No, don't do this. Don't do this. We don't have enough. We don't have enough money. On and on. It's all about lack and survival, right? So, and we have the life lessons. So we're even in a bigger place of survival than we ever imagined. A person with divine order, energetically, it tears them apart physically from an energy if someone is in conflict with them or upset with them. It's the complete, total opposite of what they breathe. But they don't understand it that way. All they know is when mother gets upset with, and this is as a 2-year-old, when mom's upset with me, I feel like I'm going to be sick to my stomach. I mean, this is literally what happens.
Sure.
So what do they start doing the rest of their life?
Compensating in some way.
They compensate, stay in survival. So when you learn the energies and you can flip the switch, because with divine order, you bring harmony, peace, and balance with your energy. You could step into the most chaotic situation anywhere, and your energy will just smooth everything out. People will just feel the peacefulness and calmness when you realize that you can literally affect the situation that way, and then get to a solution, whatever the situation is, for the benefit of all involved, whatever's going on.
So just to clarify a point, the label divine order, the order part of that refers to the internal order of one's own life structure. Is that what I'm getting correctly?
It refers to an energy that is honed in on harmony, balance, cooperation. And this is the energy that a person is here to share with the world.
Okay.
Now remember, it gets a little bit complicated. There are billions of combinations.
Sure.
But in my journey, one of the things, I did these in a past life, and that's a whole long story in and of itself. But this is what got me, by the way. This is what got me into coaching, was when I realized I heard about these, and the moment I heard about them, I knew all about them, our divine powers. I mean, I've written books. I know all about them. So I've just been off and running with it ever since. And when you understand yourself energetically, it is an instant game changer. Instant.
But what you're talking about here reminds me of I'll give a parallel situation. Very early in my life, I discovered that I had an affinity for computers. I could handle them very easily back before everybody else was doing it. And it's kind of a strange experience to realize that I can just pick it up intuitively, and other people just freeze at the idea.
What the hell's wrong with them?
Yeah, it's right? That kind of thing. And it sounds like for you, it became very, very intuitive to just grasp what these seven. I just knew order, but these 7 levels of energy.
Well, then I started working with them, and I worked with some people. I said, okay, let me see if I've really got this. And when I work with somebody, I do a session, and then I take them through this thing. And I only show them 3 of their gifts, because that makes up a majority. And we're only interested in the dysfunctions because they aren't going to recognize the other side. Right? So when I'm talking to them, and say, your primary gift, if you would hate it if people are upset with you. It's like, oh my God, I can't stand it. I mean, they just, it's just energy. But they've taken themselves into this place of protection. Now, this is the way everyone lives life. Everyone lives life that same way. We're in survival. Really, when you put a cap on it, in survival, trying to get to death safely. That's
an interesting way to put it. Okay.
That's true, right? Yeah, let me make sure I get to death safely. We have no control over our life. We don't know when it's going to end. And, happiness can only be achieved in the inner game.
Yes.
There is no such thing as happiness outside you. It doesn't exist.
In fact, if you chase it, you get disappointed.
Right.
In fact, I have it for anyone listening to the show, my book, Clarity Has No Story. It's a shaman's guide to mastering law of attraction. And any of your guests can get it free by going to myfreebook.me, myfreebook.me.
Okay. I'll make a note of that. Make sure we get a note in the show notes too.
There's a language that one speaks if we're going to live on the side of love. And there's a language that one speaks if we're going to live in fear and be trapped in the physical. Now, the language from love isn't gushy, but it's non-physical.
Mm-hmm.
What do I mean by that? So the audience understands. Think of some words that you can't describe. I can tell you what love is, but I don't know what it looks like.
It looks like a lot of things at a lot of different times. That's what makes it confusing.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. How do you unconfuse it?
Mm.
I can do that for you right now.
Okay.
It's based on how you feel, Walt.
Yeah, sure. Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
No, there's nothing else. This is the only truth in the world. It's the only truth is how you feel.
Right. Because how we feel basically creates our lives.
It creates your energy.
Mm-hmm.
It's your core. And the more you understand how you feel, and the more responsibility you're willing to take on, and by that I mean, I'm responsible for anything in my life. I'm sitting here now. If somebody came by and hit me with a car, I go, how did I attract that? Okay. Why do you think I do that, Sam?
Well, I think it's fear-based.
It's because I cannot be the victim then.
Exactly.
Or can't reconcile it.
Right.
Victims give away their power.
Yeah, that's right.
That's why there's no reconciliation.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
They give away their power to somebody else.
Absolutely.
So it's about the responsibility of the energy.
Mm.
So the
That's
more
yeah, well, responsible. That's like right at the foundation of all this is that word responsible.
And I give a keynote talk on responsibility versus responsibility. And when I talk to business people,
that got garbled for a second there, Bill. So I need you to repeat that. The signal got garbled.
I give a keynote talk on responsibility versus accountability.
Oh, okay.
Which is more powerful?
Are you asking?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, responsibility by far.
Mm-hmm. Why?
I feel like accountability kind of it's like part of responsibility, like it falls under that umbrella, but there's more to responsibility than that. It's just like a facet of it, if you will.
When you look at it energetically, accountability can only create a victim.
That's ultimately true, because accountability really has nothing to do with self-actualization. It's more about self-abnegation.
With responsibility,
it's the other way around.
It's the other way around. I talk to people. They're like, "Oh no, I can't leave my job." It's like, what do you mean you can't? Of course you can. you live with free will and choice, but you live with a belief that you're locked in, and nothing's further from the truth. I mean, they've just had these massive tech layoffs. I can't even imagine what these people are going through. 35,000 of them.
Yeah.
3 different companies. And Born, of course, things are changing now. But the old way used to be the gold watch and the company security.
Oh, the very old way, yeah.
And that's just completely vanished.
Yeah, that's my dad's generation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but there's still that belief. You see,
there is some, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's a lot more than people admit to, because this has just been passed down through the generations.
Mm-hmm.
People are starting to wake up now. But these people it's funny. Oh, I got this email and, they don't care. But nobody sent in, like, they weren't complaining before when they were getting their bonuses and doing their other things.
Of course not.
Right. Now it's for me. And with that, you can live the place of a victim for a long time.
That's true.
So the other thing, real quickly, that really creates a lot of misery and suffering for people are the life lessons, because there's 38 different life lessons paths. And because of those, in that life lessons path, there's a culmination of 3 different types of lessons, and it gets complicated yet quite simple. But we have these blind spots. We're here to learn these lessons. There's not a shadow of doubt in my mind, of the hundreds and hundreds of people I've worked with, when I've gone through divine gifts and life lessons, they're like, wow, like, here's my roadmap. Let's do it. Right. Like they love responsibility, Walt. They love,
well, especially if you're working with the people in the corporate office, the people at tops of companies, they love that kind of thing. That's just going to be part of their nature. They
love everybody to have they get this clarity, and they just lick their chops and go, oh, now I can get things. Now I know, because they know energetically, and they're aware of and own the fact that we have life lessons. What does that mean? That means there's always going to be things popping up in front of us, causing disruptions and interruptions. Always, always, always.
Guaranteed. And isn't it interesting too that it doesn't really matter how, I always hate this word, but I'll use it anyway, how enlightened we are, we still experience that. We still, all of us have, it's like we have like blind spots that we aren't even aware of. And that's part of the journey of picking up and learning how to deal with these things. So let me address the word enlightenment. Okay. Yes, we're extremely enlightened. Extremely. And therein lies the conflict that creates the frustration, because in the non-physical world, anything's possible. There's no limitation. Expansion goes to infinity. We have no idea how it operates, but we know it operates on a vibration. And we know it's in a constant state of change. Yes. And if I can tap into that vibration, and here's the other thing about the law of attraction is, like attracts like. I mean, we've known that for thousands of years. Yeah. That's the law of attraction. Like attracts like. But it's a vibration. It's not a need of the ego. You have to create the vibration to tap into what I call the universal stream of consciousness. Which is where the confusion comes in, because we usually, most of us think, like you said, we're all the highly enlightened beings. So we think, well, yeah, of course, I already get this. And then we become aware in painful ways of the little areas where we haven't quite gotten it yet. We've gotten a lot of areas, but not in all areas. Actually, you're never going to get it. Well, you never get it. Yeah, completely. It'll never happen. When we talk about enlightenment, and what we know, we live in such tight boundaries of ignorance. It's hilarious. Yeah. Right. It's hilarious. And if you're willing to admit that and go, hey, I don't know anything. So here I am in the present moment with Walt and Sam, and we're having this conversation. There's nothing else in my life. Nothing else matters. I just stay in the present moment, keep focusing on my energy. While I'm doing this, I am attracting to me all of the things that we're discussing. They're energetically come. In fact, we've changed. You can feel the change in the energy since we've been on the show, right? Yeah, absolutely. Right. Sure. And that's all it is an energetic equation. And when you understand that, you then start looking at what blocks it. Because the most insidious part of this, to me, this is just utterly absurd. If you want to manifest something, create something using the law of attraction, Sam, the universe must deliver it.
Exactly.
The universe has no choice. It has no logic. It must deliver it. So if you want to create something in this grand dream, the only one blocking it is you. Which is really annoying, by the way.
The fun part about being a human.
The problem is, Walt, and you kind of alluded to it in your statement and when you spoke about, enlightenment and then the frustration in the physical. In the physical, everything's about how. It's about limitation.
Mm-hmm.
You have to deal with all these other people that have life lessons and everything that don't have a clue, and they're living their own agenda with their own ideals. You've got to a swamp. You've got, from an energetic standpoint, you've got to understand that. Consequently, when you look at it energetically, you can move with whatever comes up. And believe me, when you understand how to move your loving energy, there's nobody I've run into yet that doesn't like it. We all just want to be loved.
Sure, of course, yeah.
And when you have the talent to move that energy, I just had I have a group coaching, and then I work one-on-one with executives. In my group coaching, I have a 24-year-old who's new in insurance and financial services.
Mm-hmm.
Been in my group coaching about 9 months now, and just got married, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just FAB, you know what that stands for, right? Flat ass broke, just
Oh.
starting out,
Yeah. Okay.
Right?
I'm learning all the acronyms. I don't have them down yet, but I'm learning them.
Yeah. Well, we remember those days though. But he just went and bought a house. First thing he did is he got turned down for a mortgage so fast that it was ridiculous. But he still bought the house, and he did it on his own, and he did it following the teachings.
Very good.
It's
Beautiful.
staying out of attachment. Right. Be detached. Just take the next action. Take it with love. Don't be in there trying to control and manipulate. He finally exhausted everything and went back to the person. He said, and this is because he didn't even talk to us. It was so funny when he put this together. He said, I can't get the mortgage, but here's 3 other options. And of course, you want to sell the house. One of them is you sell the house and get your cash. And here's 2 others. So if they're of any interest, we can talk. But it's your choice. It's your house. I respect that. And that was it. And he left. And she called him the next day and said, yeah, well, let's get your attorney. And so I want to sell it to you. Why not?
That's very cool.
It was all his energy. Now, I have another client who's with a Fortune 100 who's making a career move, and we're in the middle of negotiating an offer, and his situation he's in now is miserable. It's just it's not a good situation at all, because it's really not the work he wants to do.
Yeah, well, that's a key aspect right there. Yeah.
And when I first started talking to him, Walt and Sam, when he's telling me about it, he's like, yeah, and it's this, and I'm like, hold it just a second. You sit, we're on Zoom, but I said, you sit in a chair. I want to put a bucket of ice water on you, right?
Chill out.
Your energy to get out of where you're at is too high. Set it aside for a week. We're going to have some conversations. That energy is not allowed. We need to look at what's good, what the benefits are of this other offer, what the financial end of it is. And we'll know if it's right when we get there. But if you're coming in with that energy, you might just as well sign the letter of intent to go to work for him right now. We don't need to talk about it. But I don't know what the hell you're getting into, because your energy to get away from pain is so strong. Sound familiar?
Oh,
This is what moves people. It's this energy, and their life is literally out of control.
Yeah.
So in that statement you made, just be aware, Walt, that enlightenment is in the non-physical.
Right.
There's no enlightenment in the physical. There's only manifestation of your energy of enlightenment in the physical. Very important. What
Talk a little
questions
bit
do you
about
have?
talk a little bit about why you think that's so important. I get the gist of where you're going with it, but I'd like to hear a little more exposition on that.
Why? What's so important?
Why the understanding of the difference between enlightenment in the non-physical and what goes on in the physical as manifestation? Why you consider that to be such an important distinction?
Because nobody understands it.
Okay, well that's fair. I think some people understand to some degree, but I get your point.
Yeah, we live in two distinct worlds. Look at it that way. One is physical, one is non-physical. Let me give you an example. You're in the physical world, you see something in the future, it's an object, shape, or odor that reminds you of something that happened. This is your subconscious. When you were 3 years old, you walk in the room and you're in a bad mood and you already don't like some people over there and you don't even know why.
Mm-hmm.
Your life is out of control. Instead of going, okay, it's impossible for me to have that response towards anyone in the non-physical. Why am I having it in the physical?
Ah, that's a nice way to describe it. I like that.
It's impossible on the other sidewall. So the energy is so critical because it's the vein of gold that takes you back to the story. As you follow that energy back, it's like, oh, I just don't trust them. It's like, why don't you trust them? Well, you know, it's like, what is the story inside of you? What is it? Because you're in protection mode when you get to that place, like, oh, this is not good. I'm in protection. I have fear. Something has come up and it's all subconscious, right? Our feelings are the only thing that are true and will really guide you and tell you whether you're in the physical or the non-physical. Instantly. From there, you can start sorting things out.
That's a great point. I like that. And I'm getting the idea now about why you called your book what you did. Clarity has no story, because what you're really
There's
driving
no story when you have clarity.
Yeah, what you're really driving at is all of. I mean, a story is essentially a collection of experiences and events and so forth that have a crisis some kind. There's a chaos. There's some kind of
it's the energy behind every word, thought, and action in your life is that story. It plays into everything. Energetically, it plays into everything.
Okay.
In the physical, when you're not aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever enters the system stays in the system. It's always there. Now, you can diminish it significantly, but it will never go away, because as you learn and grow and expand and gain more clarity and you move to new levels, you're in the same position. You're looking at chaos in front of you. I'm in expansion. I haven't been here before. What does this look like? All of the same guideposts come into play as when you first started out. You just follow the same guideposts and you go by your feeling. Okay, I don't know, but having to do that scared me. Why does that scare me? Oh, you know, I was told this. And he's just like, no, that's in the physical. Where is it non-physically? You just sit with it. No, I'm supposed to follow through on this. You can tell instantly when you connect non-physically. And then you take the action. With the love. And forget about the results. The results don't matter. You're just here to learn and heal your soul. Everything is to learn, whether you're in business. I don't care what you do. Everything's about learning your life lessons.
Interesting idea, and I've heard variations on that idea before. I'd like to explore that one a little bit more. The idea, especially that you expressed as we're here to heal the soul. And the idea of healing the soul implies that the soul was injured either before we got here or immediately afterwards. So could you expand on that part a little bit?
I can't. Okay? Because I don't have proof of that, but I do know that we have a soul, and our soul is our energy.
Mm-hmm.
And I do know when you connect with this energy, I am like, it's so powerful. It's just crazy. It's so powerful.
Mm-hmm.
I can manifest anything I desire. I mean, it's just, you're careful when you play with fire. Like there's a reverence and
Yes.
respect that goes with it, right?
Yes.
Right. So I don't know that, but I do know that this little ball of energy comes in and turns into this baby that comes out of the womb perfect and then gets its ass slapped and everything goes downhill from there. That I do know. Okay. And I do know that even when that little baby, the baby can still communicate with angels and entities on the other side. It still spends. And the same thing is true as we transition out of life. I've been with a number of people that have crossed over. They come and get them.
Yeah, it's one of those interesting, really fascinating phenomena because, like you said, it happens at both ends of life, and there's something about when you come in that it's like you maintain part of the connection as you came in, and as you go out, it's it's almost like you're redeveloping the connection that used to be there, and now it's back again.
Well, let me state that a different way. Okay, we come in, that connection is always with us. The interruptions and distractions grow. And as we're leaving, the interruptions and distractions diminish.
Okay, that's a fair way to describe it.
And we get caught in those interruptions and distractions called life of survival. Yet if you look at it, and I'll get back to your question regarding the soul, when you look at it, the fact that we have life lessons, like what's your date of birth, Walt?
May 4, 1957. And if anybody's listening in, yes, may the force be with you.
I did think that.
You did think that, okay.
So your challenges in life have come in the area of stability and process. You would be a type of person who doesn't like taking all the minute steps to get to the finish completion. Like you want to get there. Does that make sense to you?
Somewhat. Mm-hmm.
And how does stability play in your life? There's issues with you with stability. There's life lessons around that. People can actually, some people, if it's so extreme, they can almost feel like they're living out of a suitcase.
It's a combination of things. I mean, I've detailed some of them on the program before, but to kind of give a summary, throughout my life, I've always had a strong desire for a great level of stability and not always felt it. And
and that's that you have just described your primary life lesson. And it comes through two other areas that are in play with this. Okay. And it's creativity and confidence. So now remember, in these life lessons, if we're here to learn things in this area, that there's duality in everything, duality in the universe. So a life lesson is either not used, not played, ignored, or over. So in the area of expression and sensitivity, for instance, this is another area of a life lesson for you. You're very sensitive to energy. In fact, you're very sensitive to other people's energy. It could even be to the point that you don't like going to shopping malls or being around large crowds.
That used to be more of a situation. It's no longer that situation, but yes, there was a time when that was true.
Because you're a sponge of energy.
Mm.
And in the areas of expression, you've had challenges. Creativity, confidence, expression, and sense underexpressed or
At times.
overexpressed.
Yeah.
So, you see? So leading to this whole overall piece of stability and process. Now, believe me, if we got in and started unpacking this, you would just see thing after thing after thing after thing that falls into that. It's amazing. It's amazing about these life lessons. So this is why, you look and you're like, oh, what is it with these computers? These other people, like, are they from Mars? This is simple. Everybody's different.
Yeah.
And the moment that we can hold that with reverence,
yes,
and allow them to be who they are, we can all learn more.
Right.
You and Sam are exactly where you're supposed to be on your spiritual path. And there's only one thing wrong with the universe. There's only one thing. Do you know what that is?
I didn't know there was anything wrong, but okay. It's good to know. What is it?
Your perception of it.
No. Yes. In other words, it's not the universe, it's the problem.
The trick question.
Yeah, that's right.
But it's the truth.
Yeah,
it's our
perception is really everything.
Because we get out of, I'm going to call it the enlightenment side, and we get into the physical side. And it's jarring. So the key is to allow the enlightenment side to flow into the physical side as you go through your day. Let the soap opera happen. Let it happen. It's
sometimes even try to enjoy the soap opera.
Oh, I enjoy it all the time. Yeah. Well, I can read. I read energy, so it's like I really see what's going on, right?
Yeah. I mean, I've been going through a lot of soap opera, and a lot of it's been. I've never was a soap opera fan, but when you watch your own soap opera go on unfolding in front of you, you go, "Oh, okay, well, that's interesting. I didn't know that was going on. That's fascinating." It's just like one after another. We say, "Oh, well, okay."
And so here's one more thing for you. Potential is completely misunderstood. That's good. You're using your potential. Well, you're working harder, whatever. Okay. Right. All of your power and all of your potential can only be accessed where? Where?
Energetically?
Within is all I can think of.
Yeah, it's like within /
the side of enlightenment.
Right.
Okay.
Let's stick with non-physical or enlightenment and physical. There's no potential in the physical. It's not totally true, but not the way we see it. The physical in and of itself is its own energetic entity and has all its own potential. But the way we see it in accessing our potential, I'm going to access my potential. The way you access your potential is go to the inner game and improve your energy. When you improve your energy, like attracts like, higher your vibration. When you create an intention, you infuse it with energy. You don't infuse it with words and description. You have to embody it.
Yeah, if we're using the phrase potential energy, we're basically drawing a phrase from physics, because physics describes and discusses potential energy versus kinetic energy. And so if we understand potential and kinetic energy from a physical / non-physical perspective, then the physical is going to be all about the kinetic, because that's what happens in the physical world. It's like it's energy in motion doing its stuff. And the non-physical side or the spiritual side, or however you want to label it, that's going to be more of the potential side of the energy equation. And the interaction of the two, that's the interaction between potential and kinetic.
Right. And you want to be on the potential side. Otherwise, you're just doing what you did yesterday.
That's right. Yeah.
And prior to change, chaos always precedes it. So it always appears like chaos. You just have to trust and let the universe put everything together.
Mm.
You know, everybody thinks they can outthink it. It's
No, I gave up on that one a while ago.
it's so misunderstood, and it's so simple. If you have any words to speak from the side of enlightenment rather than the side of the physical, well, I can assure you they're going to be very simple.
They have to be.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, I think when you said earlier, this is the way this resonated with me. You said earlier that we are all extremely enlightened beings. The way I
Totally.
interpreted that was we are, to borrow the old phrase, we are spiritual beings having a physical experience. And in that physical experience, we are working within the framework of a brain and a nervous system, which can only handle so much. Whereas
That's right.
on our spiritual side, we have unlimited ability to process.
That's correct.
And that's where we get tripped up, because we know this, we have this ability to do all this massive processing, but we're trying to do it in this little tiny computer.
Yeah, but let's untrip it, because you said something there that's the difference, and now I can't remember exactly what you said, but it just has to do with looking at everything just from that non-physical side.
Mm-hmm.
Just from that. And the more you go there, you'll look and go, wow, I'm really getting in my own way here.
Yeah, sure.
Wow, I'm really blocking myself here. Okay.
That's where we gain the broader perspective.
Let me get that out of the way, make a different choice.
Mm-hmm.
Let me re-energize everything. And let's see, because the excitement's in what's going to show up. If you know what's going to show up, then you're living in survival.
That's an interesting point. Yeah, that's true. I hadn't thought of that, but that's true.
Yeah, you're trying to outthink the universe.
Mm-hmm. Right. Mm. And in outthinking, the reason what you said was true, in the outthinking portion, what we're really doing is we're limiting our ability to understand and perceive and interpret what's coming in. So we have limited the data down to a little tiny subset that matches our preconceptions.
There's only one way that you can interpret what's coming in. How do you do that? There's only one way.
Tell me.
Guess.
Guess.
Guess. What do you think it is, Sam?
Oh, I thought you were.
No, take a guess.
I thought you were saying guessing was the answer.
No, guessing's not the answer. Although many times that's a good second choice.
It's not bad, yeah.
It is. Or it would also be known as an honest admission. But anyways, go ahead.
Right.
I don't know if this is the answer, but the word that keeps coming to me is trust.
It plays a very, very big part in it. But the answer is just vibration.
Ah, there we go.
It's always vibration.
Makes sense to me.
Whether you're in the physical or the non-physical. You are your vibration. There is nothing in the world. The only thing you see in the world is you. And you can manifest and create anything you desire, but you have to do it with a vibration. And it's your vibration that will give you the clarity, Walt, as you're expanding, because you're going to go, this doesn't feel good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so
there it is.
That's learning to check that internal signal and read what feels good.
It's the only guidepost you can trust.
Yeah.
Because your intellect is going to use logic. It's going to protect you. It's going to lie to you. You're working from this. It's such a minuscule place of intelligence that it's not even describable. When we can just sit and be peaceful and say, this doesn't feel good. Okay, I want clarity on this by Friday, and I just let it go.
Yeah, right.
I don't struggle with it. And then trust, you're going to get it. Trust is in fact the key, Sam, but everything's a vibration. Just everything's what's your vibration in this moment? There's in the mail, it has to be scanned. I live in an RV full time, travel around the country, and I got a letter from the IRS. Okay. What's the vibration, Sam?
It's like, Could be some fear in there, perhaps.
Always, you know, right? This is a threat. And, you know, my immediate response is, let me get it scanned, see what it is, and get it taken care of, so I have this energy out of my life.
Mm-hmm.
This is not an energy that supports what I'm doing, Walt. Does that make sense?
Yeah, oh, sure. I think most people would identify with that.
But most people don't have the capacity to choose.
It's a skill that has to be learned, and it takes time to learn that skill, and it takes
the
knowledge
skill.
to learn the skill.
The only skill that's required is awareness.
That's the skill, though. That's the one that takes all the practice.
That's true.
Is becoming aware.
Yeah.
And the more aware you become, the evidence is overwhelming. It's overwhelming. Absolutely overwhelming. In fact, really, you know, if in fact my theory is correct, which it may or may not be, there's no question we're here to learn lessons. And the high priestesses, the feminine shamans who are so connected, you know, to the other side are just, it's the message always coming from them is about healing, and they're very connected, right?
Mm-hmm.
And based on that, you know, really, we were just taught backwards, you know. In a sense, when someone's born, that's when we should have a wake, and oh, the poor thing, you know, yeah. Oh, they're going home again. Yay. Everybody have a party. Good for them. Yeah, we'll be there soon. I mean, because everything I was taught was survival, and it just led to a life of misery and rebellion.
Yep. And that is true. That is true. As usual, we've flown through this hour, and that's what usually happens here on the show. But we can't just stop here. We have to get a couple of pieces from you first before we can draw this really cool conversation to a close. First one, you mentioned the book, Clarity Has No Story, and you mentioned that it can be found at was it again myfreebook.me. So we'll make sure we create a link to that. But how does somebody reach out to find you?
My website is True Life Purpose Now.
So that's the best way to reach you.
True Life Purpose Now. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Bill Heinrich, and True Life Purpose Now on Facebook. Mm-hmm. Bill Heinrich on LinkedIn. You can connect to me through the website, through any of the. And you know, if somebody hears something and wants to do a quick, you know, a 20-minute clarity, they can go to speaktobill.com.
Okay.
Nice.
And schedule a 20-minute quick clarity session.
Very good.
And then my other book, this is the book that Clarity Has No Story is really about clarity. I mean, when I had that awareness, when I gained that, I was like, oh, clarity has no story. There's no story. You know, what are you doing at 1:00 today? I'm being interviewed. I'm going to be there. No story. I don't need to, you know, it's when you have clarity. And so it's really fascinating because it does talk about language and how to use it. But my other book, the 7 Levels of Truth, is all about life lessons, divine gifts, Maslow's hierarchy, abundance. Everything I use in my coaching is in this book. Everything. Transcendence. And it literally wrote the book. It took me 5 years to write it, to get it. I want to say to dummy it down. And I say that very respectfully.
Of course.
You know, like even here, we're getting clarifications on statements that I'm making. When you start looking at the world, everything in your life as a vibration, your life is going to change very fast. Very fast. And you have the power and that choice to do that.
Yeah, that's very true. And I presume that the 7 Levels of Truth is available in all places where you can buy books. I'm sure it's on Amazon.
It's on Amazon, yeah, with all the major distributors. Or you can get it at True Life Purpose Now. I have a book section there. If you want a signed copy, you can order one there, and I'll ship one to you free.
And I imagine it can be also ordered through the independent booksellers too.
Yes, yeah.
So,
I have.
So it's pretty much anywhere.
It's in Ingram's book, so yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. So it's going to be anywhere. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's very cool. I like it. Well, thank you, first of all, for joining us and sharing some of this
Thanks
stuff.
for having me.
Yeah, this has been really fun. One last thing I need to say though before we part company, and I've been making this a practice now for about the last 8 or 9 months, and it's become pretty permanent. So I can't break the string. I have to keep going.
Nope.
And it's very, very simple. Like so many people who come onto the show, you're a giver, and you keep giving information. You keep wanting to help people. You keep reaching out, and you do it through podcasts and through stuff that you write, your books, and posts, all that kind of stuff. And there are so many people who you'll never meet, you'll never see, whose lives you've touched. You've given them an idea. You've given them some thoughts that they hadn't thought of before, and I don't think we get enough credit for that. So I like to give credit. So on behalf of the people you'll never meet and you'll never see, thank you for what you've been doing and what you're
Do you
continuing
want to
to do.
know something? That's the most exciting part of my life.
I love that.
I have touched tens of thousands, probably hundreds of thousands, people that will never hear my name. But because of me working with somebody in their family or something like that, because the energy, once somebody starts working with me, their office changes, their family, everybody changes. It changes very, very fast. And it's the reverence with the gifts that I have is I'm humbled at what I'm able to do. Absolutely humbled at my capacity for like I can get clarity on anything. Anybody come in with anything, I can get like it's just I didn't go to school for these, or I did, I guess. I don't know. Other schools.
Well, the school of life, but other than that, I'm not sure how you're going to get that out of a university.
No, it wasn't. So I thank you. It's to be able to know somebody lives a little bit better today.
Yeah, that's a good feeling, right? Yeah.
So I haven't found another one that matches it.
Yeah, I hear you on that. Absolutely.
Yeah, I haven't found another one. Yeah, and from the non-physical side, giving is just giving and letting go. From this physical side, giving is taking. It's not giving at all.
We could do a whole show on that one.
Right.
There's a string attached to it, right?
Yeah, right.
But that's another. Maybe we should sometime do another.
Maybe,
really,
yeah.
Listen, if you have some subjects, like I can drill down deep in some of these areas to a point that's pretty startling. So I'd be happy if the need arises to come back. But I really
sure
appreciate
I keep that in mind. Yeah.
I appreciate having the opportunity to connecting with you and us all helping people out. And Sam's great music at the beginning. I really enjoyed that.
Isn't he good?
Yeah.
Seriously, I mean, have you ever heard anything like that from any
I was
pianist?
just going to say, no. In fact, 3 years ago, a guy I was in a business deal with, I called him. It happened to be my birthday, and he played the saxophone. And he was on Zoom on the other side with a saxophone and played "Happy Birthday" to me. So that was the last time I've heard music, but never on a podcast like this. No, so that was, and you're in the other world when you're doing that, Sam. Your energy is so evident.
Yeah,
I felt
it's so evident.
What was that, Sam?
I felt that like right away and more strongly this time than like on an average improv session. So that was
cool. All right.
Well, yeah. Well, you know why, right? Because you had intuitively picked up on that clarity stream. See?
There you go.
Yeah. Now you pick up on, this is the way the universe works. You pick up on I think it's a stream of clarity. I was like, hello.
Talk about setting the theme for the show, right?
Exactly. And you had no idea about that.
Right.
See, that's enlightened wisdom, just sharing what comes to you for the benefit of all involved. Sam was the perfect example of that.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
I agree with it. Yeah.
Completely unattached. Just here's what's coming out of me for you with love.
Yes.
Exactly.
How's that, Walt?
That's perfect. I don't think you could have summarized it any better. That ties the whole show together right there.
That's the way to live.
Woo!
So thanks for playing, Sam.
Oh, happy to
And thank you, Bill, for joining us and for sharing this cool stuff. And like you said, Sam, that well done. I mean, you've done it before. I think you set a new level today. So we're going to have to set the bar higher for next time to see, can you even clear it? I'm sure he will. I have no
challenge accepted.
When you play, stop thinking.
Yeah, that's the
Just
trick.
play.
That's the trick.
Just play. Just let it go wherever it takes you.
So thank you guys very much. Thank you to our podcast listeners everywhere, and we will see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.